I want to share this video with you guys of this young lady. She moved to a third world country, not real happy about the decision she made. President Trump won and she decided, I'm leaving America. And yeah, she doesn't feel like she made the right decision here.
If you're an American who is considering leaving the country to move somewhere else, make sure that the location you choose isn't based off of fear and lack mentality. I regret moving to Costa Rica. It's a beautiful country. I love the nature and wildlife, but moving to a third world country where I don't know the language, I don't have any connections, resources, or opportunities, that didn't make my life any easier by any means. I was just so scared of what's going on in America politically that I was in fight or flight. I was like, how am I gonna afford to survive? Like, how am I gonna find a place to live? Like, I was freaking out. And then I came here and made my life so much harder. And now I'm trying to go back and I just like wish I didn't leave in the first place. And it's so weird to like want to move to America right now with everything that's going on. But I just left so many privileges and resources behind and I want them back. It sucks. But I kind of grew up in an interesting way. I was like the poorest person in the wealthiest rooms throughout most of my childhood. I was extremely wealthy till I was like age 6. I had this beautiful waterfront mansion with a private beach and pool. And then my parents got divorced and I ended up with a parent who didn't have money. So we were living out of like trailers and hotels and lower income housing, but I was still in these really wealthy situations. Like I was in private school and cotillions and dance lessons. And I always thought that I was so poor because I was the poorest person that I knew. And all of my friends had like millionaire and billionaire parents. Now that I've traveled, I've seen like real poverty and I'm like, oh, I wasn't poor. But as a kid, I had these really luxurious vacations through my friends and family members where like my first introduction to Costa Rica, it was like when I was 17 years old. I came with my friend's family and we stayed at exclusive resorts. We were having lunch at the Four Seasons and like same with my Hawaii experiences. My family friends took me and we stayed at the Grand Wailea and the Hyatt, all these really fancy luxury resorts. And we would explore the areas too, but you know, living in Nonavale or Pahoa is very different than taking a vacation at the Grand Wailea or Four Seasons. So, you know, my travels and moves, I've really realized how privileged I've been. And there's a lot of things that like made me run away from LA and Orange County and some traumatic experiences and terrible people. But I left a lot of resources and great people behind, and I need to be in those environments again. I really miss luxury environments.
Jay, I want you to get in there, and I want to hear from Celeste, because Celeste wrote a book about people that, you know, have this type of mindset as well. But get in there, Jay. What are your thoughts?
I really am praying that she was trolling us. She left a lot of breadcrumbs that maybe this was not real. Like, you mean to tell me you literally moved somewhere and didn't do any research? Like none, you didn't do any pre-plan. You just got up and just left and just moved. I believe it, but I'm like, please tell me you're joking. Does Costa Rica qualify as like a third world country?
No.
I didn't think. I'm like,
it's a third world country.
It's a third world country.
I think it is. Third world countries typically don't have middle class. It's either those with money and then those that don't have money. They don't have the in between. So Costa Rica would fall in that category.
Okay, then I accept that. Her telling the story about her upbringing, it just seemed really, again, it was giving troll vibes. I don't know if I was missing something. And let me make sure I got this right. You mean to tell me she is from Orange County, California? She's lived in California, seen the poverty that is in California, seen the drug abuse, the S work and everything else in between in LA and California. And she says that she did not see real poverty till she came to DR or in Costa Rica. Okay. Okay. Maybe that says something about us, but it is funny to hear her clamoring and scraping to get back to the US, even for the things that she said weren't good. That's crazy because she put aside all of her political leanings, went aside real quick. Cause she's like, yeah, can I get that, the expat application? Can you put that in the shredder? Yeah. I need here. I got my passport. I just think that's very interesting. But go ahead, Celeste.
First of all, I want to thank you. That is an absolute example of who in my book I called the liberal elite and the hurt people. So
Great
yes,
advertisement.
she did leave without doing any research. She told you she was in fight or flight mode. Was running to survive. She also told you, as I said, that she was escaping trauma from work and personal life, but was fearful because of the politics. See, this is what the hurt people do. The hurt people take their personal trauma, their bad decisions, the mistakes that they've made in their life, and unfortunately, the bad things that happen to them, and they cannot focus it where it should be. They cannot focus it where it should be. So they pick a spot that is external to them. And right now, that spot is Donald Trump and the Republican Party. And they have to escape the pain of the Republican Party, not because there is any pain that actually exists, which is why they can so easily flip and come right on back. But it's the pain that they are deflecting from their actual real lives, that they have no avenue for which to deal with. This is where they put it. They put their they say hurt people either do one of two things. Either they implode and hurt themselves, or they explode and do things that hurt society. And that's what the hurt people do. They find a way to explode and make policies and do things that actually hurt society. So definitely she is one of those people. And as far as America, in terms of you saying, mess around and find out, as far as America's concerned, America only fails when you compare it against perfection. If you compare it against any known reality ever in the history of man, it is the single most exceptional country, most exceptional public experiment to ever exist. It is only when you compare it to perfection. All of these people who talk bad about America compare it to perfection. And that's why she couldn't see any poor around her, because those people weren't actually poor because of their own failings, or because unfortunately sometimes life leaves people in a bad situation. She thinks that all those people in America that she saw were poor are poor because of governmental systems. It is something outside of them that made them that way. But for the horrible government systems, they would be great. That's Mendami's message. That's the gentleman in Minnesota's message. That's why I'm telling you, they can walk around America and see all the poor they want. They don't think of those people as poor. Those are people who are victims of bad government.
Y'all make sure y'all go check out Celeste's book. We got to toss it up there. This was nice tee up. Nice tee up. Promotion for the book. Nice tee up. Go check it out. Go get it right now. Buy two. Give it to some youngins. They need to read this. But AT, you and I, we discussed this, or we talked about this probably, I don't know, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Those of us that served in the military that had an opportunity to serve abroad, and at a young age we come to the realization that, hey man, we hit the lottery. We got it pretty daggone good. Even those of us that might have come from some challenged environments. In our country, what we consider challenged anyway, right? What we consider challenged. When you go outside of this nation and you see how true poor people really live,
that's right.
Hey, it gives you a greater appreciation for this country. And Celeste, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, somebody should probably put that on a t-shirt. People comparing America to perfection, because that's the only thing that you can compare it to.
Right.
That's the only thing that you compare. And if you're comparing it to that, if you're comparing it to perfection, I can understand your complaints. I can see you complaining. Right. But when you start comparing it to other nations around the world, there's no comparison. No comparison at all. We have it really good in this country. It's unfortunate because the average American lives within about a 10-mile radius, of where they grew up at. Most Americans have never traveled outside their state, more or less outside the country. So they don't know. They don't know that, hey, you live in the greatest country to ever exist in the history of mankind. You don't know. But AT, what are your thoughts?
You hit the nail on the head with that one. This young lady actually told on herself. She said, I did leave the country, but when most Americans travel, they go to tourist traps. They have nice hotels, resorts that they go to. They see the absolute best of every place that they choose, if they ever do, which is rare, of the other countries that they go to. And I remember back in 2015, 16, when Trump was coming up, all these celebrities were saying, if he gets elected, I'm going to leave.
Yep,
Most didn't, by the way. Well, there's a reason
that's
for
right.
that. And even this new election that came up, we heard it again. We had like a few who left, but the problem is these celebrities have millions of dollars. When they go to a different country, they're going from one to another of having somebody hand and weight on them, hand and foot, excuse me. And now, when the average American who looks up to these celebrities more than they look up to God or their own parents, they think, well, I'm going to leave too. Because to Celeste's point, I have this now mutual enemy that I've been told is so awful. And emotionally, I have to get away from that. We
Mhm.
should be making decisions on faith. We should be making decisions beyond that on our knowledge that we have, which should come from faith. You shouldn't be making decisions off of your own emotions. And that's what she did. I give her credit for admitting that she made a mistake. But to double down on what Wise is talking about, please understand, I say this with underline, bold, italics. The poorest individual in the United States of America,
Yes.
you look at the poorest individual in some other countries, I would say that their lives are going to be different, but the poorest person in another country is not going to live a long life. They would kill to come to the United States of America. They would kill to come to the United States of America and be flat broke. Being here and broke in the United States in some of these countries is rich beyond your wildest
That's right.
imaginations. But
That's
we're
right.
not educated. We don't read. We only expose ourselves to what we want to see from other environments. And so when we put ourselves in those environments, suddenly we're surprised. How could it possibly be this way? You can do whatever you want to do in the United States of America. You have all kinds of opportunities in the United States of America. You could burn the flag of the United States of America. And trust me, you would get killed in other countries for doing so. But that's what happens. I noticed that a lot of individuals who do things like this, a lot of Democrats, it's all emotional driven. And when it doesn't go their way, all they know is emotion, so they get upset about it and they push back on it. It's because we're not educated as a people anymore. We're not educated about our own history, let alone the history of other countries. Going to a third world country from the United States is like saying, I want to live my life on hard mode for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Absolutely. You're absolutely
Amen.
right, AT. All the people here in America is talking about the 1%. What they don't realize is that in the world, we are the 1%.
That's
Yes.
correct. By far, too.
And it's not even close. We are the 1%. Like, come on. Minister Danzel, get in there. What are your thoughts?
Hey, I thank you for that video. First of all, that was an excellent advertisement for TDS. It was an excellent advertisement. It just tells you that when you listen to the wrong voices long enough, you lose your ability to think rationally. And this fool, please forgive me, but she's a fool. I mean, this fool upped and went to another country thinking that she was going to have it better. Now, it just doesn't make any sense. People are dying to get over here.
Right.
They're dying to get over here, and you're going to listen to people who hate Trump and believe that your best benefits will be someplace else other than here. And she did so. She so beautifully broke down her story. She grew up rich when she was younger, and then she experienced both the rich and the poor, and so now she loves being rich. She loves being around rich, and then you go to a third world country.
Yeah,
Tell me
but
how
Minister
rational
Danzel,
that's.
Minister,
Huh?
she said she went to private school. She experienced a lot of things that most people would never experience. So
Yes.
she didn't even after the divorce. And it sounds like she comes
Yeah.
from a parent who has made some poor decisions. And
Yes.
then she just followed suit with similar poor decisions. That's what it sounds like to me.
Poorer decisions.
Exactly.
She just jumped out. She just jumped out of the pot into the frying pan. But my point is that I want everyone to understand that this is a great advertisement. That was a great advertisement, man. We can use that in our campaigns, because when you're not thinking rationally, you do some of the dumbest things. And as I said, while people are trying to dying to get over here, you're leaving this country, and you don't realize how bad it is over there until you get there. You don't realize how good it is over here until you leave here. And this is an American citizen. This is not a third world citizen. This is an American citizen who grew up in America. So she's a great advertisement. Excellent advertisement.
Well, you got to think about this. In other nations, and I know this to be true, poor people, there's no food pantries for these people. There's
No,
those
Nope.
safety nets. Those things don't exist in these other nations out there. Yeah, if your family doesn't help you, you're SOL.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah.
your family
No.
isn't stepping up to help you in your time of need,
Yeah.
and the thing is, it's like that in the prisons too. They don't feed the
Right. I was going to say
prisoners.
that.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
In the
hey,
Philippines, if they don't feed you in the Philippines, you're going to starve.
yeah, if
In
you
the
get locked up
Bahamas.
overseas abroad,
Yeah, that's crazy.
your family is responsible for feeding you.
Korea is the
Amen.
same way.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
sad.
agree.
Like, come
Sad.
on, Crystal, what are your thoughts?
Um, I say this all the time to people, and people don't really understand. Please go outside and touch the grass
Mm.
because y'all have no touch with reality. Y'all are very confused, and that's literally what that woman did.
In that
A lot
bubble.
of people take freedom and privilege here in America for granted. You know, when they take what we have for granted and they don't appreciate it. And because they don't appreciate it, they think that they can go anywhere in the world and get the same treatment. And that is not the case.
Mm.
As AT says, as Y said, I agree. Every time I've gone on vacation, we didn't. Yes, we saw the nice resort spots, but my family, we always like to go. Let me see how the locals live because I want to see how the locals live. A lot of people go on vacation. Like she said, she went to a place that she visited when she was a child. That place may not be the same. It doesn't even make sense that you go back. You didn't do any research. You didn't figure out how the people live. Again, I know in Costa Rica because I had a boss that had a house in Costa Rica. They speak English as well, so I don't know what part of Costa Rica she's in,
Right.
where no one speaks English. You went someplace and you didn't do any research. You just went on a whim, and that to me is the most irresponsible thing that you can do to uproot your entire life because moving is not cheap. And you complaining about money, moving is not cheap. Getting all of that, so you gave up everything that you had here to go there. You have no support, and like I said, it is 100% true. Your family takes care of you in those islands. Like when you hungry, grandma over there got food, auntie down there got food. If you don't have that kind of support, you straight out of luck. So again, people, please go outside and touch the grass. Do not let your derangement send you into places that you don't belong. As it says in the word, and this even fits for her. There's a way that seems right to a man, but it ends in death.
Amen.
And people don't realize that. And it's not just death physically, it could be death financially, it could be death spiritually, it could be death anyway. So go outside and touch the grass. Stop letting your derangement get the best of you, because for some weird reason, all the rest of us are fine, but somehow or the other, something's wrong with y'all. All the rest of us are okay. We're living quite fine. We're not stressed out. Our lives, no privileges have been taken from me. I know they said women are going to lose their rights. I ain't lose no rights. I ain't lose no privilege. I'm still breathing. And somehow or the other, y'all think that the world is burning up. But as we all agree, yet all the people from other countries are trying to flock into America. People are trying to break into America. There is a reason that you're trying to break into America and
I'll
you
bring
think
it in.
it's better outside. No comment.
Come on.
It's crazy. And AT, I want to get you in there, but I do have a question to ask you, and then you can kind of go with it wherever you want to go from there. Maybe it's a statement. I think that when you graduate high school, it should be a requirement that maybe 2 years, either you join the military, the merchant marines, you join some form of a, what's the group that, there's another group that they
Peace
go out
Corps?
and they volunteer, the Peace Corps, something along those lines. I think it should be mandatory. 2 years, 18 to 20. So we need people here in our country to have a greater appreciation for this nation. So you could join the military, you could join the merchant marines, you could join the Peace Corps, something along those lines, mandatory. You get to choose. I wouldn't have a problem with us putting our tax dollars behind something like this, so people can get out, one, and go and give back to this country and go and give back to others, and they can get outside of this nation and gain a greater appreciation for how blessed they are to be an American citizen, to have that blue passport. You are blessed beyond measure, and I don't think people understand it, and that's why people don't appreciate it.
That's right.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I tell that to my wife all the time. Would it ever pass? Unfortunately, it'd be a challenge, but I wholeheartedly agree. There's a lot of individuals who don't come from a military family in any way, shape, or form that have the strongest opinions about the military. You've never even put it on before, and yet you think you can dictate what goes on in the world. And I agree with that. I don't think it has to necessarily be the military because most people can't qualify for it anyways, but you have got to leave your hometown. And that actually does lead into what I was going to say. It was coming off of Crystal. Listen to how this young lady talks. If you were just to walk up to her on the street and say, ma'am, did you struggle when you were young? She's going to say yes. She's going to say, yeah, it wasn't that great. How does she word it? I was the poorest person in the
In the
wealthiest
wealthiest,
rooms.
yes,
That's a weird way of saying that you were also a wealthy person because you were in that room. You just didn't have
exactly.
as much as everybody else. That's so strange to me. She said I had to go to a private school. Boo hoo. I had to have all these things. And this is someone who just, this is my opinion. If you have that kind of lifestyle and you've never left Orange County or whatever it may be at, I know you have the right as an American citizen, so I say this facetiously. You have no right to talk about anybody when it comes to poverty. You have no right to talk about anybody when it comes to international affairs because you are actively speaking on something you're ignorant about. And everyone knows that's incredibly dangerous. I wouldn't go to an ER right now and tell a doctor what kind of medication he should use. I would, but most people shouldn't go to a pilot and say how you should fly the plane. Why are you talking about what it means to be poor when you are the first? By the way, Costa Rica poor ain't the same as Iraq poor. I want to put that out there
No.
right now too. If we have to question whether or not it's a third world country, and I agree with Wise's definition on that, right? If we have to question it though, like you went to like the light version of struggling when it could be so much worse. Americans
Mhm.
are very out of touch with reality because, to
Right.
Wise's point, we don't move,
Right.
we don't leave, we only travel to tourist spots. And you got to understand, being born in the United States of America, that's it. Full stop, period. I don't care what your skin color is, how much money you came into. Being born is like starting up the video game and doing the tutorial the entire game. That's how easy it is compared to some of these other countries. And we just simply don't appreciate that, Wise.
But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts? Like, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family, or you can buy your brother a coffee. The link's in the description box below. I appreciate the support, the love. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
We won't stop. I won't quit. Stand for the truth. No counterfeit. Real ones rise. Let the fake ones split. Repent for the lies. Let the darkness